Hello and welcome to the Friday mindfulness session. My name's Steph, and what I thought we'd do today is just look at how it may be possible to bring mindfulness to a cup of tea or coffee. So mindfulness is an opportunity to step out of whatever your focus in any one moment is. So it may be that you've been at the computer a long time, or you've been at the computer and you've been concentrating quite hard. And that actually can mean that you're not paying attention to perhaps getting stiff and tense. So it's an opportunity to step out of that into noticing what's going on in the here and now. And it's also a way perhaps of in other other things we get up to on a day-to-day basis, stepping out of perhaps having a stressful conversation, or trying to keep the kids in order and finding yourself worked up, or even perhaps just feeling bored or not knowing what to do. So it's an opportunity to step out of one mindset, perhaps we could put it that way, into just noticing what actually is going on in the here and now of your body and mind. So with that in mind, I thought if we used a cup of tea, then that is something that, we do regularly throughout the day, whether it's tea, coffee, water, Coke, or whatever we all have to drink. And so what I'm going to be guiding today is drinking a cup of tea, which is I have to hand. You might just want to take an opportunity to get yourself a glass of water or something just in the next few moments whilst I sort of prepare to lead this practice. So I'll give you a few minutes. And if you've got a cup of tea to hand, well, all well and good. I have one here. It's very nice. But it is something, I have to say, that I often do without even thinking about it. I'll go and get myself a cup of tea, and before I know it, the cup of tea's gone, and I've not really paid attention to the deliciousness of the drink. Okay. So, let's start. And let's start with perhaps that first moment when you might think, well, actually, I need a drink. And it may be our thirst buds give us a hint that we're thirsty, or it may be that you just notice you need a break. And as you notice that, there is an opportunity there and then to make a decision that actually I'm going to do this mindfully, and I'm going to pay attention to drinking this drink. As I say, water, coffee, anything. So even from the start, it's possible to really move into stepping into this moment and just noticing what's going on. Perhaps just taking a few moments to check into the body, into the breath. Perhaps just noticing what you're feeling, and is it possible just to acknowledge all of that whilst you prepare to take off to the kitchen, fill a kettle with water, get a tea bag, coffee, whatever. And then as you're standing there waiting, perhaps for the kettle to boil, is it possible to just be fully present with the sense of the posture, position of your body, perhaps the weight, the feet in contact with the floor. Perhaps as the kettle is making all that heating up sound, perhaps it's possible just to be fully present in a sense of just waiting. Nowhere to be, nowhere to go, you're just waiting for that kettle to boil. Is it possible to just be fully present here and now with that moment? And then once that kettle's boiled, you can really be with the movement of the arm as it lifts the kettle, being with the weight of the kettle. So you just notice the precision and be present with the precision of the pouring of the water. So you're pouring the hot water into the cup, just being with the precision of that. And likewise adding milk or sugar, just the whole experience of being with the movement, the weight perhaps of a teaspoon of sugar, and then the feeling of it as you put it in and stir it, just that movement that happens there. Is it possible just to be really fully present with that? And then as you take your tea, coffee, water to sit down, and then just allow yourself to really settle into the position of sitting, finding a nice comfortable posture, perhaps just really settling into an upright posture, which feels as if you're really present and sitting in a way which is not putting too much stress on any part of your body, so you're being kind to your back as well. And then finding your drink. I have one here. So as I pick up this cup of tea I got here, immediately what comes to my mind is the weight and the warmth. It's not too hot now for me to hold. And I can really move into this moment, the feeling of perhaps connecting to the breath. A little sigh, letting go. And then a sip. So as I bring my tea up to my mouth, perhaps hold the cup in a sort of comforting way. I've sipped it. I've tasted it. And I've swallowed it. All in one go. But I was a little bit more aware of that than I would have been if I'd been just sitting there chatting away to somebody else and not even noticed it. So now I'm going to come back, and I'm going to come back with an intention to really notice the sip. Really noticing the taste. Funnily enough, I couldn't notice the taste until I'd swallowed it on this occasion. So just taking a moment to notice that. What actually is my direct experience of tasting and swallowing this cuppa? And it may be then your mind turns to other things, thinking about the future or what you're going to do next, or perhaps what you've just done, and you might have some ideas about that. Might be sort of feeling tense as a result or happy. Just noticing that the mind's wandered off, and what we're doing here is just bringing it back to this moment, to this cuppa, to sipping, tasting and swallowing. Being with this cup of tea. And as I'm being with this cup of tea, I'm noticing I'm with my whole body, sitting on the chair. I can feel the contact of my feet to the floor and the weight of the body to the chair, to the seat of the chair. And I'm breathing. And I'm sighing, letting it go. Whatever it was, it's gone now. Till I reach for the next breath. So not only am I connecting to this cup of tea, but I'm also connecting to my body, to my breath, to a sense of ground. And just to keeping to the task at hand, sipping, tasting and swallowing. That's interesting. I noticed I took a big gulp then, which meant that I had to swallow half of it and then the other half. That was interesting, because I also noticed, actually I do that quite a lot, I gulp my tea down. So this next sip is not going to be a gulp, it's just going to be a sip. Swallow happens so quickly, but I can feel the tea and the heat, or the heat of the tea as it goes down into my stomach, goes down into my throat. I don't always pay attention to that either. So that's another thing which I'm beginning to notice. My stomach feels slightly fuller of fluid. And then I can just relax. I don't have to drink it all at once. I can sit with my tea in my hand or in my lap, and I can just come back to this moment of relaxation. Breathing, sitting, feeling the body in the chair, giving myself a moment in what for some might be a really busy day, and for others it might not be. But in this moment, connecting to this cup of tea in my hand, on my lap, sitting in the chair, the weight, the breath. So as we bring this practice to an end, it's just a reminder that next time you decide to have a drink or a cup of tea or something, that's always an opportunity to then decide as to whether actually is this something I want to bring a bit of mindfulness to, even if it's just to the boiling the kettle and the waiting. And it's another opportunity to play with anything that you're doing with your day, brushing your teeth or cooking a meal. It's always possible to bring this mindful attention to any part of it. and actually playing with it and allow a bit of playfulness to come into it can actually help. It helps me not to take it too seriously, in that make it too much of a heavy deal, but just play in the moment of what happens when you bring your awareness to the whole movement in the moment, and what you notice when you just notice the sensations, how it feels in the body, what happens to the mind when you just keep bringing it back each time. Breathing and sensing. So I don't think there's anything else to say. I've written a few notes, I'll just double check. Oh yes. When you're investigating whatever it is that you're bringing your attention to, bringing in all your senses. So you can bring in sound, smell, taste, touch, whatever it is, posture, physical sensations, the play of the light on whatever you're focusing on. So it's interesting how it's possible to do that with any activity actually that you're doing with your day. So good luck, and I'll see you next week. Okay then, bye.